DreamHack Open is brought to you by Astro, Monster Energy, Corsair, Hacks, and GGBet.
There it is, the pride and joy of Canada. The maple leaf flying high and waving in the breeze right outside the Olympic Stadium here in Montreal. And boy, has it been the site of some grand Counter-Strike as we look onward to the finals. A best of three, which will encompass ENCE and Kinguin, and one of these teams will be your champions of the DreamHack Open Montreal. My name is Trace Saranthis, and I'm gonna take a quick break to hit one of these real quick. That's much better. Monster, yes.
Oh, okay.
In fact,
that makes more sense now.
Why don't we just take this time to thank all the sponsors?
Yeah, who are the other sponsors?
Let's go with Astro, Corsair, Monster Energy, of course, and Hacks GG. Hacks GG, definitely someone that's been bringing you the content all week long. And of course, I need to introduce the other guys bringing you some of this content. It's going to be none other than Dustin and Tommy. Guys, we've made it to the grand finals. We have finally arrived here, and
it's about time.
ENCE didn't quite have the easiest of paths, but nonetheless they're here.
And you know, that's part of it, right? It's never been particularly easy for ENCE.
But just say it is.
It still is. It's easy for ENCE, guys. Come on.
Yes, well, it could be the case. We could take a look at our playoff bracket right now so that you know exactly the two teams that I just said and where they land in the playoff bracket. ENCE and Kinguin in the finals, and it's been a longer morning for ENCE than Kinguin.
Yeah, I mean, Kinguin had a rough first day, and we all know about the story of them not having their equipment, but they were able to still get the job done and pretty easily skated by their next best of threes they needed to make it to the finals. Looked really dominant. ENCE, on the other hand, had the opposite approach. They started off really hot in the best of ones, but had a little bit of struggle there against Imperial, but luckily God Alu appeared and was able to carry him on over here to these grand finals.
Anything you'd like to just kind of put in there?
I thought you were going to, make this flow, ask a question, let
yeah,
it
I was
go
going
from
to,
there.
but I was thinking you'd have something to add and maybe ENCE's defense.
Oh, look at this, all the pressure coming in.
Yes, everyone in the
I don't know how to deal with this.
Planet
This
is looking
is rough. Guys, it's a 3 reasons.
Give me 3 reasons, Tom.
3 reasons why this is going to be the best match of the event. All right, let's roll them out. Number 1. Boom. Kinguin is improving as the tournament goes on. They struggled early on. They didn't have their equipment, didn't even have their jerseys. Had a similar fate as this man right here to my right, but they've been getting better. They look very good this morning. It's going to be a good game. Number 2, roll it out, and ENCE finally got over the hump. They've been a team that really struggled to close out games for the last couple months. We saw that in Cologne, we saw that at the European Minor, and most recently we've seen that in a couple of online qualifiers. But now, facing elimination at 11-15 against Imperial in the semis just 30 minutes ago, they actually brought it back from a 2v5, forced overtime, and got over, won the game, and now they're in the grand finals. Number 3, most of the best performers are on the server. I would actually argue that outside of Esperanto, all the what could have been the MVP caliber performers from this tournament are going to be competing in the grand final, and that's just going to make the match a whole lot better to watch.
Yes, and the only way that was possible, I mean, the only way it was possible was through Hacks GG. Isn't that right, Tommy and Dust?
I'd like to think Tommy had some effort into that. Give him a little bit of credit.
But he would have never had that box by himself.
That's absolutely true.
They gave me the box.
They gave you the box. And
what's in the box?
What's in the box? You know what could be in the box is a headset from Astro Gaming. That's right, astrogaming.com. Join the Astro family. And make sure to check out all the offerings from Astro Gaming and join the family via the link on the screen now. All taxes and fees apply.
Yeah, they've still not figured out how to get around government laws. It's real shame, but hopefully at some point.
It's a real shame, but you know what could be a real shame is how these vetoes turn out. We do say it's a best of 3 final, and of course, it will come down to these vetoes. We're gonna have 3 maps potentially played, and if you're either one of these teams, you wanna get that first little bit of footing and get your map pick here. So guys, without beating around the maple leaf, where exactly do we think this one's going to be?
Well, we know Kinguin's going to ban Inferno, so let's just go ahead and get that one out of the way. I think they have to respect the fact that that's probably ENCE's 2nd or 3rd best map after Dust 2, so they'll definitely get rid of it as they usually do. ENCE, on the other hand, has a little bit a different decision to make. I think they would still ban cash as they normally would, but I think they also have to kind of respect the fact that there's some weaknesses out there that Kinguin could exploit and overpass and nuke. So you might maybe dance around the idea of playing cash, but I think they probably still will stick with cash.
I think the more interesting thing, actually, I agree with the assessment of the vetoes. I think the more interesting thing is seeing what happens with the picks. Because if you're ENCE, you might actually think, you know, Dust 2 is going to be played regardless. It might not be Kinguin's pick, but it's going to be the third map if it goes to
probably.
So in that case, do you actually pick that? Because Kinguin's actually been, I would say, much better looking on Dust 2 so far this tournament. They've looked great on it. Obviously, ENCE has had good performances on the map previously, but not so much here in Montreal, as we just saw.
I mean, just 16-4ing AGO earlier on Dust 2 should make a statement. In fact, that's probably what they were gunning for, know it or not. Had they made a powerful stand there, they could certainly affect the vetoes going into this final. Let's see what the first bans are. It's going to be Inferno and Cash, actually.
Yep, makes sense. I mean, those are the most common vetoes for both of these teams, so nothing too surprising there. Let's roll out the picks.
Roll that beautiful bean footage. Here it is, Nuke and Dust 2. We're going to see a little Nuke, guys. I think we've only seen it one time this tournament so far.
Yeah, I think ENCE needs to get rid of Overpass now. That's probably the big thing, and then allow Kinguin to decide whether or not they want to play Train or something else going into the third
Mirage
map.
Is the other option.
Yeah, I like the choice from Kinguin. They'll take it to Train for third.
I actually do think the veto favors Kinguin, though. I think they're favored on Nuke.
Certainly.
Oh, by the way, thing to keep in mind is this tournament does use the knife round to determine starting sides on each of the maps. So it's not like because it's Kinguin's pick, ENCE get to start on CT side. It's still going to be knifed. I think Nuke is going to be in Kinguin's favor. I think ENCE is going to be fairly 50-50, actually, maybe slightly favored on Dust 2. I don't know really what to make of those two past games that we saw.
Sure.
And then I think Train is just up in the air.
Well, we did have a semifinal leading up to this. We did have an entire day of group play leading up to yesterday. And of course, we had an opportunity to hear with our teams that were going to the grand final. Let's check on their path and hear what they had to say.
No one has seen anything just yet, but Taz gets a free frag. Mouse trying to go for the peak, but Taz stays alive, finds the AK. Goes for a second one, gets the third one as well. The old legend, G5 Taz.
The job is not finished yet. That's my feeling. It's like I'm just having so much fun playing. I don't know why, but the whole situation with luggage and stuff like that made me switch my attitude to like, maybe I'm tilting sometimes when we do something wrong, but overall I'm just having so much fun. It's just, everything is funny for me.
It went pretty bad in the start because we arrived 10 minutes before the game, so we didn't have any time to warm up. So the first map we didn't play our game at all. I think we will win Kinguin 2-0, like 16-10 and 16-10 or something like that. They are a strong team, but we are better. No, we are definitely ready for the final.
I feel pumped, I feel happy, man. I just want to go there and play against them. I mean, if they will be better, kudos to them, but we are feeling pretty damn good.
And you heard a little bit about the, dare I say, excuses over on the inside. I keep hearing this storyline like, hey, we got to the venue a little late. I don't want to say this, but I'm going to. That's your fault.
Of course it's their fault. That's dumb.
Just wanted to make sure it is just as much their fault as it is for Kinguin not having their gear. So, 2 caveats already on the board. And the one real question digging at me is this. Dust, when and if you ever have children, you know, perhaps, will you name...
I know where this is going.
Will you name your child Dust 2?
That is so unreasonable.
Just
I'm
throwing
pretty
it out
sure
there.
I would get murdered by my significant other if I did do that, so that would definitely not be a thing happening. But
Dust the second.
Jesus Christ. Dust Jr.
Oh, man.
We talk about, I say the word second, and none of these, neither one of these teams want to be second in this
certainly
best of
not.
3. This is one that determines the champion, again, of the DreamHack Open Montreal. We're going to take a look at Kinguin first and try to examine maybe their approach to this game, and perhaps is it going to be as easy for them as it was?
Listen, there's going to be no easy wins for either of these teams here, except for maybe Nuke for Kinguin. Like, I think that might be a little bit of a weakness for ENCE, but they've actually been pretty good on it online, so they might be able to hold their own. But I think one of the big things you got to look out here is, like, we talked about how Taz, you know, is struggling individually, you know, playing against the Tier 1 competition, went on Virtus Pro, but he's been playing really well since he's been on this team, which is good because he adds to the consistent fragging that was already on this team with people like Rollin and Miles and Manise and all those guys who play really well. And he's winking because he knows that he's about to put on a clinic with the shotgun on top of the hut inside that upper bomb site on Nuke, which he's been doing for pretty much the entirety of probably Counter-Strike history.
Well, the only difference, of course, is in the previous versions of Counter-Strike, the shotgun wasn't a railgun at short distances. So, you know, he was using different weapons back then, but same thing. He's always hung around the hut and been very successful at it. We see Rollin here coming to focus on camera. I would say he's been the best player on Kinguin so far this tournament. Biggest impact player for sure. With that being said, Taz really has held his own here. It's his individual play on top of, you know, the leadership and everything else. It's really commendable. Yeah,
I mean, Rollin is definitely going to be a guy that's going to be huge for this team. He's going to be the one creating a lot of the openings with an AK-47 on the terrorist side on all these maps, and also just a solid rifle on the defense. And then Manise, he's going to have to, you know, patrolling outside with the AWP. He's been very consistent for this team. And so I think this is where, you know, him and Alu are going to be going toe-to-toe against each other outside. And that battle is going to determine a lot of things on this first map with Nuke.
Very well could, and as we see, no one sitting there on the other team. Don't worry, they haven't forfeited. They haven't ran away or anything. We're not having a Montreal repeat of last season, or season, I guess. Would be, yeah, I guess it would be a season, right?
Alu's probably back there trying to figure out the monsters are just for ads or whether he can drink them or not.
I actually think they could just be for ads. There's no telling.
I've actually stole a couple from up there, for sure.
So now you're a thief.
No, I mean, they were allowed to me.
It's really getting a little deeper and darker every single time for you, I hate to say. Let's go ahead and roll on the Twitch vote, my favorite part of the day, where I can entice you to go ahead and light this chat the heck up. That's right, !ENCE or !King, or just type easy for ENCE. Not that that's going to give you a vote, but it's still your voice being heard. And of course, if you believe in Kinguin and Taz and company, maybe you put !King. Yeah, I mean, where do you guys see the Twitch vote landing on this, might I add?
I mean, they have to go with the memes, I imagine. It's only natural, so ENCE will probably have to win the Twitch chat vote, I imagine.
Very important. Yes, indeed. Well, we do see them, I think, working their way back over slowly but surely. I think they're on the same flight plan as Kinguin's luggage at this point.
Well, you know, both, they eventually did make it there, so there's hope for us yet.
I think there's just one thing that's really sticking out to me. Alexi B is a tactical genius, but one man without which he would not have anything, honestly, if you really think about it. Zarte taught him all of this, heaven and life. Although the roads after the Habu left, friendships remain strong and men often meet burger lunch marks. Not sure what that means. Could have been a riddle, could be the Joker in Twitch chat. And whoever you are, Jesse1234, congratulations. You just got my attention enough to do that. Either way, guys, we do have just a little bit of time to fill here. As
I was very confused for the first.
Yeah, I was like, where'd you go?
I realized that you were just reading that.
I was confused reading it, to be completely honest.
That makes all of us then.
Right.
So Trace, let's flip this around.
Yep.
Okay. Who do you think is gonna win? Let's get some real analysis from your side.
You know, I think this is...
I think we should go Matt for Matt, because we're coming back between each one. So I think that would be the better approach. What do you think?
Let's just start it this way. We're going to start with predictions. We'll start with you, Dustin, then I'll give you my formulated approach. Dustin, Moret, let's hear what you got.
I think Kinguin's got Nuke.
Okay. Well, I mean, I assume we're still doing the whole series now, and then we'll just talk about maps separately.
Okay.
So, whole series. Let's go.
Whole series.
Kinguin 2-1.
Can't do that. Can't swing that.
I see.
And it's 2-1. Sorry, guys. It's gonna be easy for ENCE.
Absolutely no reasoning from either of you, of course. No way would we have that. I'm gonna have to split the vote here and pick one of these. And I suppose ENCE got off to a little shakier start, so that's gonna mean I've got to pull for Kinguin in this one. Unfortunately, I think that's the way it is. However, there is one asterisk that I can look at, and I can say, yes, ENCE just came off of playing. So they're going to be feeling a little bit more a little bit more warmed up, a little bit more ready to get back in the server, just like they got back in their seats and were able to let us talk about their entire lineup, where in which it actually happens that we have a Finn on our desk, and he knows every single thing about every player and every Finn in Counter-Strike. Take it away, Tommy.
Just absolutely everything. Well, we know Alexi B is the tactical genius who was taught everything he knows by Zarte, so that's you know, out of the way. You already told us that. Thank you, friendly Twitch viewer.
Yeah, I mean,
outside of that, you know, I think the biggest thing here is just getting Sergey Sergey up and running. He had a rough, especially the third map in the semifinal was rough, and he could have been, you know, the difference maker potentially there. I think he's someone who's going to have to do well, particularly on Nuke, to get them started.
Yeah.
I think also Ariel, considering his role, I think it's going to be very important on Nuke particularly. And, you know, that's the map. These guys don't want to start off losing on the first one and then having to claw their way back in. I think Alu, you know, he had a fantastic third map in that series to bring, you know, ENCE over the finish line. I think he finished like 35 kills overall over on Train. He's someone I think who you can more count on. He has so much experience from playing games like this that there's going to be less inconsistency in his play. And obviously, you know, you just need Alexi to keep doing well. He's been solid throughout the tournament. He's the leader of the team. Yeah,
Alu definitely put some rounds down range last game. And there's no denying that he took that game and said, hey, you know what, screw this. I'm going to do Alu things circa 2015-ish, give or take a year, 2 or 3, whatever it works. But I mean, I think it's one of those like, hey, Kinguin, Ego here. What's taking so long? We're waiting at the airport. By the way, Luminosity has the window seat, so you guys can sit anywhere else. No, unfortunately, we are just a little bit slow to get started here. But rightfully so. ENCE coming right off of that win. Do you think this is going to be an adrenaline-draining experience from them coming in this last BO3?
I mean, luckily they did get like an hour off. I think, you know, I think that's the right thing to do by DreamHack. I think you shouldn't really have to start any sooner than that. I think an hour is fine. The only thing is, you know, if they had to also eat in that, it depends like how accessible food is and things like that to make sure that they also have time to prepare. So I think in terms of preparation, Kinguin has a slight advantage.
Let's take a look at the head-to-head, which is Alu and Ral and Dust Moret. Break it down for us.
Yeah, I think these are the two leading MVP candidates for their respective teams, depending on who winds up winning this Grand Finals. I think these are two of the names you're probably looking at that have the best chance of doing it. A couple other Kinguin players might be able to topple over on depending on how this finals goes. But yeah, Rallen, again, just a very impactful type of player with a rifle and an AWP as a secondary op. And then Alu, again, he really came alive in that semifinal series. You know, we've been talking about guys like Sergey and Ariel pretty much all tournament, but Alu finally had his moment to shine to kind of bail his team out of a tough situation and make sure they at least had a shot at the trophy. And so certainly eyes will be on him to see if he can keep up that form going into the moment that matters most.
Well, the GG bet odds are looking a lot super lopsided. Talk to me about what these numbers mean.
That's very lopsided odds. So the way you'd have to think about it is you divide 1 by the number that you've seen on the screens there, and that's the implied win probability that you have to believe in for it to make sense for you to effectively put money down on those teams. Now, obviously, you know, we are all involved in the tournament side, so we couldn't take part in that fun as per Valve's rules. But for everybody at home watching, assuming you're not, you know, involved with teams or tournaments or, you know, anything of the kind, feel free to hop in. Now, out of those odds, I'm liking ENCE.
Yeah.
Particularly because, you know, they do favor Kinguin significantly.
You know, those numbers are one thing, but the reality is this. There was enough Penguin spam that could have helped Kinguin, and unfortunately, that wasn't how you voted in the Twitch chat. Let's take a look at the results from all of you memers out there. It's looking like it's going to be in the way of ENCE, but it's not that close. I mean, it's not that much of a discrepancy.
No, it's not, but relative to the odds that we just saw on the screen, now that's a big jump from there. It is more than a 180 from there.
The biggest jump that I can think of is us going to the commentators. And the one man that I know has a high vertical leap is Launders. And of course, there's Scrawny, who's been beat up a few times by elementary schoolers. It happened, I guess.
Every once in a while.
Let's go ahead and give it to you guys to get into this grand final, huh, boys?
Sounds good. Thank you so much, boys. Oh my goodness, Mohan, it is time.
We're here.
And they did show up.
All the players are on stage, Connor.
I was getting flashbacks to the last Montreal event where I was robbed of a grand finals map. We all were. But that's not the case here today, folks. ENCE and Kinguin, I think this is going to turn out to be an awesome grand finals, especially seeing as we had that semi between Imperial and ENCE first. Really cool showing. Excellent map 3 overtime. And now we're playing for the lion's share.
Definitely. And we see these odds. We saw the odds. Did the odds just flip?
Yes.
They actually just flipped. I was wondering, because we saw from the last match, that was the closest we saw ENCE coming to losing this tournament.
Yep.
Kinguin obviously looked very good as well, but I was going to say, like, I'd take those odds all day.
Yeah.
I mean, the 2-1, I think, is imminent. Who wins in the 2-1 situation? It's a little bit more up in the air, but I'm personally leaning towards ENCE here.
I kind of want to. I feel like you kind of have to. But at the same time, I think the Taz has been so rock solid behind a guy like Rollin, who again could be that forerunner in the form of an MVP. And I think that if you look at Kinguin versus E United earlier in the tournament, you had Relics unfortunately fall off as he has that in-game leadership role, but Taz almost seems to succeed in those sorts of situations. But let's stop talking and let's start watching, because ENCE and Kinguin has begun. Folks, this is your grand finals for Montreal 2018, the sickest of all the open stops.
No bias.
None.
Boris. None.
None at all.
Just objectively speaking, the best, most important, most revered.
Is there even any other
in
tournaments
all
going
open.
on right now?
I can't think of any.
Neither can I. There's nothing going on in this pistol just as of yet either. ENCE, they're taking their time with this heavy utility buy.
Stops here just at the ramp with 3 players. You can tell they're going to try to take it, and the best way to do this is actually to throw a little bit of a fake towards upper, but Mouse, he's going to spot 3 of these terrorists crossing. And that's going to leave him a niece to try to make an adjustment. Mouse now takes first contact lower, put himself in kind of a tricky spot to get more than 1 kill, but couldn't even do that. Bomb will go down now. We're in a post-plant situation already, Connor.
Yeah, and there's a crossfire here to try and keep back the secret stairs. Not only do they have a crossfire, but there's 2 players on the control side. So Alexi's kill's fantastic. Then the other 2 players come into this, and it does leave it on the Rentman to try and get this retake rolling. Taz last man up, 5 HP, 2 targets to take. Doesn't know where the second one's at, but he breaks the window to sell the fake. And in reality, he's not going to fall for it, because there's still a terrorist over there. So Taz, play as he might, creep and crawl as he may go, unless he gets a couple of superb headshots, it's just not going to happen, and ENCE will take that T-side pistol.
They looked good doing it, too. When they went and hit ramp and pushed Mouse into lower, I feel like the adjustment was not great. Picking that wall that he liked to be in maybe was an angle that he's had success from in the past, but to me that looked like a one and done. And I wonder if he had teammates rotate to help him, would that spot have been more legitimized? Was he confused that he didn't have a teammate to come and help him? But at the end of the day, that's the spot he picked, and he couldn't even get the 1 kill. Maybe would have eased the 2v1 situation at the end a little bit more. But now we've got a lobby crunch on the second round. Popular strategy for the CTs to pull off, where they go in through ramp, they push it through hut, take a lot of these tight angles, and try to put pressure on the terrorists with the CZs.
He's going to take his time with this little heaven peek. Wants to make sure he clears those corners, because this is what can get really scary with a map like Nuke. There's so much interior gunfighting that can most certainly lead into those close quarters angles. You don't want to play around with CZs. I mean, I think it's for a reason that you see 5 CZ75s and not a single deagle. Nobody's looking for those long-range engagements with the headshot. No, they just want to spray and pray up close.
There's some days you're tilted in pugs, you want to pick up a deagle because you need to hit that 1 deag for your soul.
Of course.
But here they're playing to win, and CZs are the best way to do that.
Smoke could effectively counter 2 of these CTs. Molotov down towards the site does even get somebody a little uncomfortable, but Rollin has exchanged a frag right away, and Maus has managed to sneak himself a second. There we have it, X7 standing on the head of the last defender. Oh my goodness, look at that. So quickly, they just enveloped the bomb site.
They stole it right back. I really thought that ENCE played that anti-eco to perfection. They avoided the area that was overtaken, which was lobby. And typically you have 1 person stay there on a default, just in case of a crunch, which is very common to do. He sits back, he waits with his AK or whatever the case may be, tries to get as many kills as possible and trades that information. Here they didn't lose anybody holding, and instead were able to take heavy control. They were very patient in upper, and still they weren't able to win. CZs were too powerful. I think just by sheer force of will, Kinguin were able to steal that.
Next 10-14 over towards the hut side. Taz, as Dusk just did allude to on the desk, loves to do exactly this. He puts us on our edge. Alu, 1 versus 4. Picks up a gun, but of course not everybody's inside. That last pesky CT comes in from his back, and it will be Kinguin to do what ENCE couldn't. They convert.
That's a big one. We've already got the auto shot he busted out, and by sheer statistics of how powerful the gun is alone, it's worthwhile to use it to stop anybody coming out of Squeaky or Hut. It might be better than any other gun in that spot. Yeah. But then you also have the kill bonus.
Of course.
Just as a bonus. I mean,
right into the meat grinder. They tear flesh from bone. You want to talk about bonus, Mohan? Look at that. 4 SMG frags and a shotgun as a cherry on top.
They're licking up the marrow. It's tasting good. Now, they had a number of kills going to the SMGs, which is obviously the most fortunate route to take on a lot of these rounds. You know, sometimes there's teams like Stanislaw loves to have 5 SMGs. You've got to have faith in your teammates to play the round properly, but then you guarantee you get all that money. Most teams will, you know, keep it at a cool 3-4 rifle or 3-4 SMGs and a couple of rifles. Now we get that fast, squeaky pressure that comes out early. Aerial actually gets the kill as well, but the trade is out, and Mouse finds him at ramp.
Still the man advantage, though, for ENCE. 2-1. Here comes the AK blasting past the squeaky door, and Taz falls to the man behind. Good pinch in from that lobby entrance, but the outer gunfights do go the way of Kinguin, which maintains them this 2 versus 3. They've got the utility for the retake. 1 of 2 has kits, that being Mao is up here in the heavens. Flashbang towards Mini could call the attention of the T's, who have boxed themselves in on lobby side. They're very wary of that potential ramp flank, but it is in fact the Mini player who gets the opening kill, and they need to clear corners. There could be players behind vents on both sides, so that'll draw attention. But ENCE aren't in a position to actually punish this. So suddenly it's on Alexi, and the bomb's planted for him, but all of the kills go to Kinguin.
And it'll come down to the final few moments, but they pull the defuse off, and Kinguin win another round. Man, these rounds are moving so quickly, too. I think that's the most jarring part about all of this. I mean, just as we start to talk about the next round, the previous round, we've got a rush and an upper almost right away. And again, lightning fast trades here as the first 2 Ts pull off their kills, but Mel's answers right back and is also the hero at the end of the day to seal it up for Kinguin. So it's tough for ENCE. They actually had a pretty favorable situation upstairs with the bomb down. The problem was Kinguin didn't give him a chance to shoot back. Instant headshots.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the ways to prevent them from having moved so quickly into the bomb site would have maybe been hold up them on some angles. I mean, the terrorists there are all inside of lobby. Everybody's waiting for Kinguin to walk in. They peeked heaven, found no one in vents. There was nobody out in the open. So they were awarded their frags. Mouse doesn't actually fall back. He sticks around, catching X7 off guard, who probably assumed he would have gone on the retreat. But instead, he planted his feet and he held his ground. Leads us to the 4v4. Turn that 3. Manice, quick kill, but the bomb plant regardless. So we've seen after plant positions before. Let's see if they shake things up. Well, looking like it for the time being. 3 CTs coming down from ramp room. That leaves one of which on the other side. Lots of bodies coming the way of Sergey. Young Gun goes down. Rollin gets the best of him. Now Alexi B is going to try to eject further towards those secret stairs. Aerial with a pop flash through doors. Nice play. It actually blinds up Rollin, but the Raptors man was standing a little longer. Both taken down, and ENCE grabbed themselves a second.
That was so beautiful to pull off in the heat of the moment where he opens the door, the flash pops at the perfect time, and both players are blind. I mean, that flash was easily worth thousands. Would have paid for that aftermarket on eBay. Would have sold my car to buy that flash.
You don't have a car. I'll sell mine.
So it's easy for me to say.
You've got nothing to lose, Wonders.
You don't want to fight me. Now, it's almost like trouble in post plant. They did whittle it down to a 2v2, which was nice for Kinguin, and they have been very composed in those situations. It's crazy how many of the rounds have come down to post-bomb plants with low numbers.
Yeah.
And again, round 7 already, I feel like we've been casting this final for 2 minutes.
That's it. We're getting these bomb down 2v2 type scenarios, but even then it's happening so fast. It's not like a complete total shutout in terms of frags. We're just transitioning really quickly through the setup phases. Everybody's moving fast. This is actually one of the longer rounds we've had outside of the pistol, and now we're starting to see these casualties happen. Aerial plucked from the sky. The second dies. It's Alexi down. And Manice will retreat. X7, he wants this kill. He wants a trade frag, but there's nobody to trade out. And if he's not cautious, he's going to round one of these corners had he walked through hell, but he decides to take the upper road.
Now that the 2 kills have been had, it's clear that the CT will most likely fall back. He's kind of done his job here and doesn't need to over-aggress. A trade is offered up, though. Rallin goes down with nobody here to answer back, and Taz will be the first one to take contact, but is also a victim to the best Finn.
We're going to get that bomb moving forward. Mouse, oh my, did you see the man behind him?
Just
How happened? Oh, that could have been atrocious. Bomb could have been denied, could have whipped back and even dropped X7. One of those really, really close scenarios, but it's unfolding all the way of Alu and ENCE. 3 tees up at the end, and they will continue their run in rounds.
The main player from the last semifinal, Alu, picked his team up when it really mattered in those final few rounds. How on earth do you justify clearing the angle and not seeing that?
Blind, by the way.
Not sure what to call that one.
A one-off. Let's not let that happen again.
We'll write that one off.
Oh my goodness. Finally, we've seen the economic disdain of the situation come back versus Kinguin. They have pistols launchers, and this is ENCE's chance at really equalizing rounds. But remember last time what happened in a situation like this.
This time they go for the lobby control, and there's no one to crunch, so it'll be kind of interesting to see the duality of how they play these anti-ecos, and how Kinguin will respond and what their plan is in the passive setup, so you know they have one. No one moving for the time being. We've seen the ENCE style. Just get a fair bit amount of map control, hold on to it, wait the timeout, and then slowly aggress. Aerial here being used as a scout. Has an AK.
Doesn't want to lose it. There's actually only one SMG currently in play, and that belongs to Alexi.
You wonder why he's not the man getting all the way out there. That was a bit of a mistake as well.
Flash goes up after the incendiary. Still, now kills come in so quickly at that. This is one of those situations where you see the first frag go the way of Kinguin, and you think that just one more, or a second even, could really have ENCE shaking. But then so fast you see the guns do what they do best, and that is rip them apart, as it should be.
Limb from limb. And ENCE, they definitely still have fight in them. They've set up everything really well. I feel like the primary highlight of Kinguin so far is the amazing individual shots that we're seeing, like particularly from Taz and Mouse. But I honestly feel like there's a very exploitable part of the map right now. I think that Mouse is playing ramp a little weird. The way that he falls back, it's unpredictable, but I don't think that's actually going to help him. Last time, he decided to sit on the ramp and take a fight, go 1-for-1. The pistol round, he decided to fall back, but didn't do the standard fall down to the bottom of the ramp where you have a couple of angles to play with. Instead, he went for like kind of a one-off position, and I feel like he's not got a consistent way to figure out how to get 2 kills or at least stay alive. Hasn't done either.
We'll keep our eyes on him, see if he changes things up or see whether or not ENCE can exploit his consistencies. First thing that happens this round is Molotovs down. Nobody for Kinguin is going to afford ENCE any room to rush. Smokes follow quickly after. A repositioning here. We're going to get a set piece coming out from the Finns.
Smokes outside. So all good teams have to have an entire game plan based around these smokes. Jumping over the smokes is definitely not what you want to do. One of the best things to say about Astralis quickly is that when they throw these smokes, they always walk whether or not they use them. Therefore, leaving no auditory information for the other team.
Don't want to show your hand. Don't want to show your head, because that's what's going to happen. Aerial dropping Mouse, but Rollin gets in behind them. He could actually cause a double casualty versus ENCE if he finds the timing right. The bomb's even coming down secret stairs, so Rollin, once he gets rid of this bomb, there's an M4 behind him. And now his position's revealed, that that's perfectly fine because Aerial still dies. Rollin closes the door and closes the opportunities at the B site, but A open for the taking. Sergey gives cover, op shot connects, and this leaves Rollin distressed. He has no clue what's happened. He thought he had the round-winning play, and then all of a sudden, bomb ejects the other way, and ENCE will win this round.
And so did we all. And one of the key points that's so interesting about Nuke that's extremely hard to follow is that you're constantly trying to pull people one level down. So if you've got players in Rafters, one of the strongest positions, whether they're Fur or Mustang, you want to try to get them on the floor so that your Heaven is not this high-low advantage you have for CTs that are defending against a site. And then one further, if you can get them to go into lower, then their only rotation back up is the vent, otherwise a long one up through secret. And so if they pull a strat like that where they're able to get the bomb onto upstairs when the CTs think it's lower, so much harder rotating up than it is down.
Yo, that's, I mean, whoa. Sneaky position from Taz. As we mentioned, regularly playing the top side of Hut, so eyes up as they go out, and they find him. Starting to piece together quite the successful T side for ENCE. We have ourselves the very first pause, 1 of 4 out of Kinguin.
Yeah, this will be interesting. We don't know how much money they have exactly. I think this might be a save. I would guess. I'm just going to go ahead and guess they're not actually buying on this round. In terms of their buy rounds, however, there's not much that they have to change, I would say. I think that they still have a lot to figure out about ENCE, what ENCE want to do next round. I think if I'm ENCE, I'd go for that ramp once again. Like, that's my first cue. And yeah, they're only on pistols here. So they were probably just thinking about what to do in the future. But right now, it's going to be pretty much an anti-eco here for ENCE. Get the first kill early is nice. Lobby crunch comes out. Taz is actually rewarded with a frag, and Rallin from upper has this hidden M4.
Yeah, he strikes just as the attention of Sergey gets pulled around. I mean, he saw Sergey anticipating potentially some kind of ramp presence, and sure enough, it comes in. He also had the presence of mind to realize he was falling for the bait, but didn't react fast enough to deny that M4A1S. And now Kinguin, they reel back from the lobby with guns. Sure, they've been softened up from that initial engagement, but they are armed to the teeth. And the CZ falls, the only pistol that was still in play. The only player that made the difference here between that 4 versus 3 to now even keel. But what are you doing, X7? Flies right into the trap of Reeds. It's still traded back for ENCE, so they're all right. They're doing a good job of hitting what seems like both bomb sites at the same time, keeping Kinguin guessing. But now there's no more guessing games because bomb has fallen onto the floor, and Alu follows suit, swapping to the AK, which is going to be the right call because both of these CTs incredibly low on HP. He's got a little bit more utility to play off of before he has to commit to this plant, but he will punch it in. Bomb active, and an active flank as well from Rollin. He's going to be trying to come in from the same direction Alu did, which could very well catch him off guard, especially considering he just saw Rollin over towards Hut, but where did he go? He is above you. And Rollin looks down, falls, spraying into the back, the spinal taps. I mean, all of a sudden, it's tied, 5-5.
I'm surprised that Alu had no concerns about Heaven in that situation. We don't know if he actually did check it for a moment there, and if he would have looked up again, that was clearly on the menu for anyone on a retake, considering how much time they hadn't made noise. But either way, Rollin gets away with it. Also had considerable impact throughout that round, so that's quite nice, and it would have been a difficult situation. Tough part for Alu is he's in the best spot that he wants to end up in to control engagements on anyone holding W coming at him, but he wants to also try to make it a 1v1 if possible, and so he kind of has to hope that they either make a mistake and peek Hut or have someone come in through Mini or something of the sort. Aerial early on takes a lot of damage.
This means now that 1/5 of the rounds we've seen have actually gone the way of Kinguin while they were on the disadvantageous buy. Remember, they force up in the second, they take back the pistol momentum, and now just in the previous, they had a single M4A1. So despite ENCE doing a good enough job so far, 5 rounds is still great. They could have had themselves so much more. Kinguin keeping themselves in their map pick as it should be. Alu seeing a sliver of a skull. Doesn't land the shot, would have been a hard one. We've got a stagnant T side now as ENCE did establish eyes outdoors, and we'll just take their time with this. Trying to wrap around the blue box. They know Reeds is in here somewhere, but they have to be cautious as to whether his teammates will come bail him out. Worst time to reload. X7 down in a second from Reeds.
Clean. Super clean. Leaving one man on the A site to defend. Actually a pretty important situation. Surge annihilates all 3, surgical with these frags. And now they actually have the ability to go for a plant if they can. But Reeds is still out here wreaking havoc, keeping up with Surge's high score.
And he's now got himself the 1v1. Both these players on 4Ks. Both these players fighting for the clutch and the ace, but Sergey's got the edge. Except for the fact that the time is against him. A second opponent, does he anticipate the peak? Because Reeds is just gonna sit back. He's crumbling under pressure. A young player has to sprint for that bomb site, and he's not going to have any other choice but to plant out in the open, so Reeds has got him dead! An ace from the outer player, and a clutch that's his.
And as mechanically gifted as you can be, this is an objective-based game, and that's where we see it come into play. The most important part of that round was how much time was left on the clock. And even though it was an amazing display of mechanical ability from both players, ultimately it comes down to the fact that the CTs had the advantage in those late moments of the round.
big individual prowess in the previous to get Kinguin back in the lead. Taz continuous as well in this shotgun. And oh man, the buckshot into the gut of 2. Splattered on the back wall. He is 2. Because the headshot connects, X7, 29 HP, 4 targets ahead, and he dies through the spam. One-handed monster drink fist bump. That is years of experience.
That was actually a energy drink commercial right there. I'd like to know the exact flavor that he was sipping on.
You can only multitask like that if you're cranked on a monster.
Absolutely. Just expecting the coach dab from the back. That was too clean.
As smooth as his head. That's going to be a tough frag. No. Actually doesn't do all too much. Has allowed for the slip down through the vents. Rollin gets one in. Alu, he's going to have to deal with Mouse, but Mouse should be clearing corners. He knows the door is open and he doesn't check this. Free weapon at the very least.
Not just free weapon. Again, you're trying to pull everyone lower, but they're activating this upper hit, and he hasn't done the full amount of work he can. Aerial, however, gets a kill, leaving it 3v3. Is immediately traded, and the M4s come into play.
Now, we talked about that limitation of going from the B site back up into A. He got Fence with the long wrap. Good kill from Alu, but he doesn't expect Reet's peak at that moment. So, Kinguin again on the board.
They didn't let him work, Connor. I feel like he had the drop, and they got into lower, but coming into mini, I mean, you're just asking for an engagement. You're doing it with pistols. You're trying to walk up on players who have M4s. They're not going to over-rotate on that kill. You know, he still has some stuff to do. You know, there's a lot that he could have made happen from the bomb site, where he could have poked at ramp, he could have gone through Heisenberg.
I think this plays back into what we talked about earlier with the pacing of this game. We are 14 rounds deep in what feels like 14 minutes. Good drop in from Aerial, so fast that he catches Rollin off guard, so there's definitely a strength of the strategy, but there's also strengths in the A site. Reets with a double, and he's left Taz now trying to pick up some pieces. Sergey finding him, and Manice is going to work his way through mini, which would give his side to Alu, except he's slipped in. Now he could actually pummel back the terrorists unless they get wind of his potential position. Alu's not alone, or excuse me, Manice is not alone. Mouse is still out there just behind him, and Alu's seen neither of the two. Now they realize there's somebody here. Alu's gonna not trade directly back to Manice, so they should still figure this out. They should still know. Oh, but the unscope doesn't cost him. The no-scope doesn't connect either, but he still has possession of bomb, and he's now cut it down to the 1v1. Alu with a headshot. And ENCE back with a 6. This half still could be as close as possible. The 15th round coming at you.
That was an absolute nail-biter. And again, you can set up rounds as many times as you want, but sometimes it's going to come down to those key clutch decisions. And here's Alu in a strong position. And you could say he could have got that information a little bit earlier, saved his teammate, but they were still set up pretty well because they had one to spare. Him coming in for the flank was perfect. They just didn't realize that he killed the only person in mini, but they still made it work.
Another fast one. They're doing the exact same thing already inside of mini, but the shadow gives it away, so it should have been called. Still, Aerial stops for no man. 2 kills on the entry. Alu the third. 5 versus 2. You blink and you miss it. Not just this round, but what feels like this entire half, because it's certainly coming to a close. Manice pushed into the open, flames at his feet, and Mao's now, I'm sorry, buddy, but this is done. Nothing to save for, not much to fight for either. Flawless 5-man standing at the end of that one. 7-8 our half.
What an unbelievably exciting half. I'm fired up. This is really cool. They're just going at it like balls to the wall, honestly. Every T round we've seen almost the fastest rush that you can think of, but they're still being intelligent about the way that they clean up on anti-ecos and hold for map control, flash for each other. You're seeing all the teamwork still come into play. They're still respecting the process, which is nice. And then on top of that, even in situations where ENCE have favorable afterplants and they've shown that they've been smart and played together, Kinguin are still able to win. And that results in obviously 8-7 that we see before us.
I feel like that's what's happening when we're getting into those 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3 type scenarios. Then Kinguin seems to have that edge. But if there's anything we've obviously noted, it's the pace of which ENCE is setting things. And maybe that's what it's going to take to kind of offset Kinguin on a map that they're clearly more comfortable with normally. You just get rid of that comfort, do something what it would be most certainly unexpected. And I feel like just throwing yourself over top of Mini, just chucking your body through door, who sees that coming, Launders?
Sometimes you just got to think like it's a WWE arena and just come down with an elbow from the top ropes.
Yeah, RKO.
Out of nowhere.
Let's go. Second half coming at you. CTs fully Kevlar, no utility for them. Taz will have himself the P250, smoke and flash. No kit even. See if that comes into effect, or the bomb even can find itself down.
No kits in play. Taz, man with a plan, only one who has some grenades. And X7, let's see how he plays it compared to Mouse. I imagine you fall back down the ramp. Does he stick in the corner? He's actually doing the exact same thing. No teammate to assist. Again, that vent is removed. It instantly goes down. You hate to see it, man. That's not going to do you many favors.
No, but at least they can control something. A little bit of vents presence from Sergey. Still outnumbered is he. Had that door swung wide, then Mouse is already ready for the peak, USP in hand. So instead, he will join up with Alu. The experience of Alu. The young, fresh face of Sergey. These are the extremities of ENCE. This is what makes this team so exciting. Young stars and old wisdom.
Old leathery wisdom.
Doesn't help you staying alive, however. Alu and Sergey will both fall. Manias has got their number.
And the tight race continues. Wow, we've got someone creeped up right on their monitor on Kinguin. But here's the entrance into the B site. Long range with the Glock, why not? Again, the adjustment in the going downstairs, it seems like it's popular, but I don't know that I completely understand the angle. However, to each his own. It's a game that can be played optimally, but as we've talked about in the past, being comfortable can be more important, can supersede any math involved probabilities with like where you should or be or what you should do. Ali's gonna be scouting outside. He's got a player in Big Garage in case they try to circumvent him outside of the boxes, I suppose. You see him sitting there with a CZ and you think he gets a kill, someone turns that corner.
Yeah. Just screams frag. And still trying to do what was done to them, an upset in the pistol conversion. Scout. Ooh, some damage onto Reitz now. That's 2 of the 5 tagged down for Kinguin. Because of the smoke in the window, Alu can't try and aggressively finish that frag, but there comes the man in drawing. And there's a second up on the rooftop. The element of surprise from beneath as well. X7 has a little presence. However, Nice still able to pick up these pieces until his skull is shattered wide open. Like everybody else, that round happens just as fast as Taz and Kinguin won theirs.
Right on the second round. A taste of their own medicine. The exact same situation. A little bit more aggressive towards outside, which is quite interesting because, again, these long ranges are not going to do Pistols favors, but we can see they still go to town. I mean, that's easy nerf, where the fallout, the damage fall off, a little bit of inaccuracy, drop off. It did something, but there are still situations where the CZ is perfectly good at that range.
Pistols back for Kinguin as well. Trying to create the force wars.
So again, a map where the rotations are heavily stressed and it's easy to pull the attention of the CTs downstairs. Here they've already got two kind of rotated in. Alexi's not in the most optimal spot, especially if he's going to get crunched, but X7 is going to be the man to watch.
Oh, Goomba stomps Reitz. And does still reside on the ladder. Rolling up next will get him. Not going to happen twice. Now Alu's picking up pieces, but he too dropped. This is allowed for Kinguin to get themselves into the B site. I mean, hell, a plant wouldn't be too bad, but X7 is here to try and stop it. Actually, bomb is nowhere to be found. It's difficult to get a read as to where it's at, but I believe it's just outside the vent.
Sitting upstairs, and they have eyes. So at this point, I think they realize that the round's over. Kinguin wanted to go downstairs, but suddenly the man advantage is there. Ariel's also got Surge's top, however. He can kind of freely roam between these angles right in front of him, you know, within 50 degrees, not have to worry about anybody coming up and flanking him, which is super nice.
20 seconds, they can still get kills, except for the fact that the Heaven player can just commit. You'd hope Sergey can get these kills. They nearly lock up. Oh, mouse! Pops open both mouths.
Damn.
That is fast headshots. And that's a man on the floor and a man up above. Quick crosshair readjustment. And Kinguin will reign supreme. 10-8 now. Punching it back, like we said, the Force Wars launders. This has provided ENCE with a back foot position. A single ump on X7, but surprise, surprise, Manai's nearly caught off. Still able to get the best of the first man, and he jumps around the corner. Third one up is Aerial. Sure, he gets a frag, but in a 4 versus 2 scenario that they're left in, you'd think surely this won't happen.
A situation where you 100% call a pause. Tilt-worthy play that was made on the previous round to totally just vacuum the confidence and economy out of the other team. And now they're 2 up with the CZ and they hear the plant. They don't have many ways to do this inconspicuously. Aerial, last man up, 1v3. Down to low health already though. And they forced up here. They bought the head armor.
Yeah.
They weren't happy about that last round.
Nope, they went all in. And now they're gonna have to pay the price. I mean, just the fact that Aerial has 7 bullets kind of tells them, you're not gonna do this. So walk away.
I feel like culturally, one thing a Finn would have a hard time admitting is when they're tilted.
Can you tilt a Finn?
Can you tilt a Finn? I feel like that's a carnival attraction.
Hey, tilt your fins.
Like, Taz calls a pause there.
Yeah.
After you lose that, right? Instantly.
Let it sink in. I mean, in order to tilt, you must have emotions.
But they're in there, you know?
Deep down inside.
They can lie about it. They can pretend to be too strong. But they're in there, man. We are emotional beings first.
Aerial gonna have the only piece of hardware for ENCE in what's going to be a very difficult round to win, especially once Kinguin just exert themselves with their superior firepower and grenades. It's the frag that picks up the first one, just pummeling the men inside of Mini. 5 guys alive, and Kinguin will not even have to dust off their shoulders.
This is where the other team trips with the relay. And now we've got one firmly in the lead. 4 rounds of difference. Kinguin are starting to get rolling. We know what the Polish can do with momentum. It's definitely not going to be pretty at this point, especially after that 1v2 turning point in the game for so many reasons. I mean, just psychologically, economically, numerically, you know, just looking up at that score, what that would have been a free round. We would have had money next round, build a bank. You know, there's so many great ways for the game to end if they simply clean up that anti-eco for ENCE. And now they've called it pause to talk strategy and shop, of course. We don't know what they're going to be thinking about. From the looks of it, with the 5 rifles up, they're going to either have to play outside somewhat aggressively, drop someone in secret early, make sure that no one can drop vent, and then they can relax. So we got the 2 outside plays. We have 1 Mini who's on flex, keeping an eye on the vent with Alexi. I like how they're prioritizing these 2 areas right now, and it's certainly where Kinguin have postured to take.
Slower pace for Kinguin, understandably. This is a very important round. Not that their economy's in question, but rather this could break ENCE. 5-point lead on the line. Here's the drop down, most certainly. No, there's a little activity on the rooftops. Like that Alu's trying to play inside of this corner as well. Doesn't leave him susceptible to the peek off Heaven. Now they're going to play proactively. They want to clear out the vents. They want to obscure some kind of a push, and the damage is there. Sergey, thanks to Alexi's assist, able to pick up a frag, but Taz ejects from lobby with bomb. Reitz resides above. Alu's position, perfect. We just talked about that reposition and how it could have punished that exact walkout. Taz, last man up, has to lead by example. He does have the bomb. And he also has an open route towards the B site until the man in vent falls down. It is predicted, and his head is popped. Who will stop Taz at this point? Next man towards ramp. And he's got a little bit of cover, so hell, a bomb plant, why not? Take what you can get. And these are isolated frags. They have to be cautious. You do not write off Taz. Individually speaking, he has been fantastic all weekend long. And now would be the prime time for him to deny a retake versus ENCE. He's got another headshot. And while they've tapped the bomb, it's going to force his feet. He opens it wide, and he just can't do it. X7 adjusts, and he'll find his defuse too.
It could have come down to that. Get that kill, close the door, jump across, reset it, 1v1, strongly in the T's favor. Comes down to just a millimeter difference in accuracy. But we talk about that round from the perspective of Taz almost winning that clutch. ENCE played that round astonishingly well. I love that their setup initially was meant to wait to see if Kinguin went outside and then reactively pulled off the lobby push, knowing that there were high numbers not there holding. So they went off the numbers. Push lobby as soon as we realized that there's going to be 2 or 3 outside.
But ENCE just gets right down secret stairs. Nobody even sees him. Problem is, how do you really work an op down there? What would be really sick, I think, is if they start showing a little bit of presence outside to, say, a guy like Alu, then that could draw the CTs to rotate someone from the B site and put them over towards secret stairs, where that op could have been more forward than they anticipate. But alas, he has moved back.
Always scary to give up a significant amount of map control early to get into a firmly passive setup where every CT has like a pretty good advantage of winning their one duel, but if they don't win that duel, it kind of all falls apart like pulling the yarn from the ball. He's assisting his teammates as they cross under his scope into lower and clear out all of these headshot angles. And to their delight, not finding a single CT. Again, this map control was gifted to them, but at a certain point, there isn't anything you can do. They are starting to swarm lower.
Well, and about to burst door, 30 seconds the difference here. There's a man directly near X7, trying to hold off the cross. The smoke goes down. He does deal significant damage onto Reeds. The only player tagged thus far, Taz, a late round insurance policy. He's going to try and control the top side of the vent. If he hears footsteps going in, then maybe he decides to strike. How's this retake going to get rolling? The utility's not there, really. Ollie with a frag, Alexi on a Molotov. And still nobody has a kill. Finally, we get one, and it's Rollin, the first casualty of the scenario. Mao is so fully exposed to the doorway, could go down to Alexi if he's got a gun in his hand, but he's caught off. And a 3v3 with the bomb already ticked 3/4 of the way. This one has to go now. Mao's cleared from the back corner, but Taz and ENCE are still standing tall, and it looks like they've got it. Even despite a couple of kills, ENCE can get themselves nothing.
The numbers were just too high. ENCE didn't have a single person dedicated to holding lower. No member on the stairs on either of the staircases. And Kinguin were thinking, all right, I mean, you can give up all this free map control. I know you've got something tricky planned, but at a certain point, we're going to feel really comfortable about this. Everyone's already in their post-plant positions before the execute starts, and they only use their initial grenades outside. So, ENCE falling for the complete and utter bamboozle. Lacking in rotates. There's definitely 2 ways to look stupid on Nuke. It's over-rotating and under-rotating.
Collateral. Good damage. Nice follow-up. Sergey's got something to say. And it comes in the form of a 2K. How do they bring this back, if even? Because Alexi emerges from the vent. You want to talk about rotations. Well, he gets there in the nick of time. But Taz is going to give Rollin a little bit of time to work. Could find a way back into this round. Because even despite all of these frags, you are still talking 3 players with pistols. And you have a minute on the clock. This would be the first force buy. Outside of the very second round of the game, where ENCE can get one. We talked about Kinguin being able to do it in the first half. Well, this one would be crucial. You get your 10th round, you cut that lead to 3, and that's all assuming they can finish off Kinguin. 45 seconds to do so. Now that Rollin hasn't been presented a target, Taz is the one who's getting curious, clearing out his corners. The bomb is on Rollins, so he could just easily go up these ladder, straight up vents, plant on A. He's got Taz with him. There's absolutely zero defense until just then. The CTs arrive. They understand what's happened. Smoke down in a confident plant. Not going to be able to line up the spray. Cannot deny it. It's a 5 versus 2. You'd think this is unthinkable. But you can always be mistaken. I want to see a nice bit of cohesion here from ENCE. Everybody come in at the same time, not the 1v1s that could allow them back into it. And now that Taz has gone down, it's most certainly over. A single point of health will not be enough. Sure enough, ENCE with a force buy. Yeah,
they picked a clean, consistent way to play the retake, and it did look scary as Kinguin made sure to take advantage of the fact that ENCE were going to respect them and give them space. And they tried to make the most of the 2v5. I think the one thing is, because of ENCE's patience, they didn't see the incentive to go out any farther because they didn't have the ability to capitalize on some really stupid mistake. They couldn't just like push out and make it a 2v3. And you know, I'm only talking like that because it really did seem like Kinguin were like making the most of the situation. But as we can see, ENCE were totally confident and aware of all the risks at hand. Now Kinguin have decided to call a pause, and I don't blame them. It could be a total swing back, and it has been a treacherous game of ecos, Connor. Nobody is safe versus these CZs.
It's a minefield of sidearms. Explosive damage with a high rate of fire. Put it in the hands of skilled players, which is what ENCE are. You can have yourself some problems. You can see 4 AK-47s over here for ENCE, so this is definitely going to play into the economy that they most certainly need in order to continue the comeback.
#1 sign of opulence on CT side is to see AKs.
Yeah. Trust fund babies.
They got that old money.
We got that new money.
Fresh start money.
Little lobby lurk late. Could be the call. May also allow Manise to try and work ramp, but the smoke obscures the vision. Duels could come in pretty quickly. It's going to be the sprint straight out into Sergey. He lines up one, and it's traded by Alu. He's got the cover of the silos, so you'd think he'd find some more, but Manise will get the best of him as well. A minute on the clock, and the kills continue to trickle in. Rollin, the last man up. Everyone else has fallen.
And it wasn't enough. One of the only ecos that has actually resulted in a team going for a straight-up upper hit, and it's one of the more tricky things to get away with consistently for sure, but it's always good to keep it in your back pocket for rounds where you've had a number of ecos and you've got to reinvent yourself. However, this was all handled beautifully. Whenever we watch those highlights, it's so important to watch as like someone who's trying to learn from these games that like every time you get a kill, you find a new spot to stand in. Alexi did that without having to move too much, pick 3 brand new angles, allowing himself to maintain an advantage in every single fight.
Peek me, I dare you. Settle down. How limited are you on a map like Nuke with a buy like this from Kinguin?
Thoroughly. There was the opportunity for one of these guys to, instead of upgrading their pistol, which I can see the temptation on T-side, to getting a flash or a smoke, and that doing a lot. They're still going to find a way to get a ramp without getting totally mowed down, but once they're out, that's when the bear trap activates, and both X7 and Alu easily take them apart.
Solid anti-eco, not needing the utility advantage, just those guns. Bigger caliber bullets. Like you said, bear trap snaps. Easy sweep. So we're not only docking free AK-47s boosting the cash, but now no losses in this one as well. I'd love to see an ending to this game where the economy doesn't affect all too much. And we're getting to that point. Round loss bonus for Kinguin. A little bit of bank built up on ENCE.
Last few yards here for both teams. ENCE building up that economy, and even though that around disadvantage, we're so close to the end. The little money they saved is gonna result in them being able to buy maybe 2 rounds in a row. So hard road back for Kinguin, and they're setting their eyes on ramp.
try it again with guns. There was supposed to be a Molotov there, but it actually got extinguished inside of the smoke. So Kinguin capitalizing on an opportunity, anticipating maybe that ENCE, you know, needing that Molotov to prevent the run out, were going to be susceptible to a push, and most certainly they were. Great entry frags, and that just discombobulates the CT side.
Tough spot. We've got one in lower, which means that they're almost certainly going to risk the 2 players they have left to attempt to hold this. I'm not sure if Alexi was spotted. It seems like right now Mouse is being very careful about this angle, and his position has been compromised, leaving just Aerial to come in, and I feel like, man, the party's over. Alcohol is all gone. People are starting to leave. I would maybe get some rest.
You don't want to be that last guy.
Get some afternoon margaritas tomorrow.
Some mimosas.
Yeah, some midday mimosas.
I'm all for it.
But instead, he's trying to keep it going.
It was an opportunistic play by Kinguin, bursting out thanks to the flubbed Molotov. Making the most of an opportunity which was given away. Aerial tries, he might, falls to the last 3 Kinguin players who look to finish this game.
The way he saw it maybe was that even if he got a kill or 2, it would have been worthwhile just because they have that extra buy. But I think every dollar counts in this moment. It definitely isn't clear who is going to win this game. And you definitely wonder. They had a taxing best of 3. That must have dumped like quite a bit of adrenaline about 40 minutes before they played this. And you wonder, has that helped them grease the wheels, or are they nearing the burnout? It's hard to say. All these guys are definitely used to long days of Counter-Strike, so you would expect they'd be able to keep it together, but they definitely left it all on the field.
Yeah, I sometimes feel like that. While younger teams may not have the amount of experience on a big stage and things like that, these are guys who are used to grinding long days of qualifiers online and online
just
games.
Like you, Connor.
They are. I relate. But, you know, that's where the depths of your gas tank are certainly shown. So let's go. Who wouldn't want a closer match? Smoke's down. Alu's vision obscured, and we have ourselves some outer yard control from Kinguin. Relatively uncontested, only really Aerial over here. We do see that #1 man, Alu, trying to move the AWP into the stairs, and he's not going to be caught off because no one's crossed just yet. He will be hunting.
Kinguin have had a myriad of opening strategies that they've decided to start with, and Alu finds a very key pick in a small window of time. You can't even fault his teammate for throwing that Molotov then. It seems like Reed just peaked a bit too soon.
Yep. And now Aerial comes in from the corner. Good trade from Manice, but it's still the man advantage for ENCE. And they're trying to contain this hell control because they know Manice can be on the other side, which he most certainly is. Still creeping, crawling, walking, and not wanting to give away the play. You can even see ENCE theorizing the fact that maybe they go push ramp. Go aggression for aggression. Mao's repositions in anticipation. And if he manages to find some frags off of this, that would be a great read on his behalf, but he nearly is denied. Still gets it. Equalizes things at a 3v3 with 30 seconds up. Bomb has to come in, and sure enough, Nuke, in the place of the corpse, will take one down. This is the trade train until Taz is going to have to clutch. He should go B. Vent is open, but he's denied any movement. Alexi locks it down.
They hold on tight. That's it. And it's actually one of the only rounds where you see kind of, where you see Kinguin fall apart just in their default 1-by-1. On other rounds, we're definitely seeing the bomb go down a lot more. Kinguin straight up winning by going for their outside default and putting that pressure on ENCE that's proved to be too much, but clearly not insurmountable. They're back into it. Kinguin and 3 ecos in these last, I think, 6 rounds now. It's a tough pill to swallow.
Should be giving away nothing in a round like this. We should be staring 14 rounds all straight in the face. But an upset could rear its ugly head.
No round comes free.
No.
We've got the pistols. ENCE are scared. The pressure's on. They see how close it is. They could blow this. They've done it before. And Kinguin smell the opportunity 100%.
Now the smoke's faded. Taz will be given a line of sight, but X7 does not want to over-peek this. So instead, he's just locking down the ramp. Taz seems to have a read. Gets the confirmation that he's exactly where he thought. Alu holds the cross, but the T's still get out. And now, just as we saw before, things should trickle to death. X7 given the head of another. Mao's sure he gets the casualty versus the sniper, and Reitz is actually going to get his hands on it. They've lost the bomb, and they don't have much time to play with, but things are still a little scary. Never mind. Reitz alone surely has no stake in this round.
25 seconds to go. Might be an opportune moment to call it a day, but he's in CT quarters. They're not going to let him have it easy. There it is. ENCE put up 14 with a precarious situation that they definitely made the most of. A ramp take, however, what does that tell us? I mean, I think that this might not be the place that Kinguin want to go next round. I feel like X7 has played it really well overall this half, did a couple of things similar to Mouse that I didn't like exactly. I think where Kinguin's strength lies are on outside, however. Most consistent path to victory as all the nades come cascading over Aerial's head.
And he's going to go charging through smoke. He's looking to obscure the back line, and oh, the damage is there, but the kill is not. And now he's got 3 Ts already down the staircase, so Alexi's going to feel the pressure, and he's going to feel the nade. Just slightly. And now all of a sudden, Launders Kinguin, they're committed to this. They're stuck.
Bunch of dudes in the stairwell, hanging out. Don't even know exactly what their best option is at this point. They wanted to keep the tempo high, and that's why they didn't leave anyone in lobby. There's no 4-1 here. This is a full commitment to downstairs. They can go back up at this point, but they're not going to have a lot of good reasons to do it. Utility's expelled right now.
Yeah, throwing more and more. Alu, he's inside of the vents. This could be difficult, but it is a good angle to hold, especially if their attention is elsewhere. But he misses his shot, and he's going to take so much damage. Alexi still gets one, and then he falls. 4v4 and 40 seconds for them to get this bomb down on B, where X7 needs more teammates. He's calling for help. He himself could shut down a couple more. Maus is to the left. He doesn't spot it, so now we've got the man advantage. Kinguin looking for overtime at the very, very least. We have gone the full distance on Nuke. And while ENCE have managed to get their way down ramp, this one's still in the air. Even once again, bomb thrown out, 15 seconds, and another shot from Alu. The experience shining in until Sergey gets the TK, and he falls right after. Aerial, nearly with enough damage, has managed to keep them pinned in long enough to plant, but there he goes. Little HP the difference, 22 health combined.
Blink and you'll miss it. Man, that's one way to take out the White Death. The help of a friend.
A team kill in the 29th round.
You absolutely hate to see it. That must be truly devastating for ENCE. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I think ultimately, we can look back at previous moments where decisions caused that snowball to get out of hand. They did have such a great setup inner. They had them all locked down. They knew that Kinguin were going to rush down lower. They were clear about their intentions. And when the smoke came out, they got in control. They got their setup perfect. Alu missed a shot in vent.
Yeah.
Then he took some damage going up the vent. That was one of the players, 2 out of 5, that they knew were committed to lower. But now, Alu's clogging up rotations. So he's in a very important position, but he can't even help himself. Then they make the adjustment, and it does get close in the end. But there are a few moments there where ENCE kind of messed up on their own play.
Yep, most certainly was. Now, Alu's looking to take a play out of Taz's book. Auto shotty up above. MP9 tested with 2 targets. Nice simultaneous peek, but the shotgun drops bomb, and Alu continues on. Cannot flick for the next one. Aerial falls, as does Sergey. It is all on X7. CZ75 into the M4. Still the bomb is there, and he's got himself the headshot. Can't take the next one. Kinguin will finish off their map. As close as possibly could be. They'll close it in regulation.
None of us were clear on who was going to take that. You'd be lying to yourself if you knew for sure. It's definitely a world where ENCE had that in the bag, but Kinguin, They showed us why they're in the finals with that play.
Yeah, and not the first time they've been in the finals this month even, right? So here we have it, looking to make quick work of the next best team at DreamHack Open Montreal, although incredibly close and very scary. Remember the amount of force buys that they were able to actually pick up. Let's see if the analysts thought those force buys were as important as we did.
First and foremost, Launders is absolutely wrong. I knew 100% without a doubt that that was going to go in the way of Kinguin. I'm just kidding. One thing we did see, though, is the battle of 4x3, where in which many times, many people were not eliminated from a round simply because they were in a blind spot. What are your thoughts on 4x3, Tommy?
I've actually written an extensive blog on this.
Okay.
Because so many people are so wrong about it. And, I try to, like, once and for all, tackle all the arguments, make it clear that, play with whatever you want, but one of the aspect ratio choices is just superior to the others.
One of these is not like the other. Kind of like Dust Moret. Dust, tell me about this matchup, man. What made it so close?
I think what made it so close, the fact that Kinguin was always able to get hot starts each half. They had a 4-1 lead every half, so I mean that's making sure even if they didn't win pistol, they were able to come right back. I think they did a really good job of just constantly resetting the economy events in the second half. I think they had 3 different resets on it early on in the half, and that means that ENCE really just had the grind, and it came down to big individual plays that even kept them in that game. I remember Alu had a big round on the T side, like flanking with an AK through outside, big round. Sergey did step up and deliver really well. As we said, he was a little bit cold in the last series in the semifinals, but he did have that key team kill on the lower bomb site when it looked like ENCE might be able to play into overtime. So that's a tough team kill to have.
I mean, what this map really came down to, I think, is that ENCE were better on gun rounds. I think they were, in that sense, a better team. But they started both halves down 1-4. You start down 2-8. You still come back to 14-14, and then, like you said, little unfortunate. First, Alu misses the shot. X7, I think, also gets killed by 4-3. I think, though he was like very far to the side, so it's possible that he just wasn't looking there. Right. And then, obviously, Sergey team kills Alu in the final 3v2 situation.
Why not? Let's just add a little spice on top of our salt, I think. And if you are thinking of salt, does that put ENCE in a salty position going forward? I mean, this one was very, very close for all intents and purposes.
Well, I mean, we did talk about Nuke being the one map that favors Kinguin going into this series. Right. So, this was the map that, you expect them to take. I think Dust2 should favor ENCE. Don't know by how much, but, at least they showed up for the first map here. I thought they did pretty well, all things considered, but it's really hard to come back from such bad start to halves, especially on Nuke.
Well, let's shift from Nuke. We've got just a little bit under a minute here, and I want to get your guys' thoughts going into Dust 2. Really quickly, Dust, we'll start with you about 2.
Yeah, I mean, start with my son, the map over there. Anyway, so, we got 20 total games from ENCE on Dust 2. They have only dropped it 2 times, and they have beat some really good teams on that, including Na'Vi. So they're definitely going to be a favorite coming into Dust 2. Look out for Sergey to be more active on this map. Usually he's more passive rifler, but on Dust 2, he's a really good trade fragger, and he's been playing really well. Also, Alu's op has to be focused. But listen, Kinguin has won Dust 2 both times they've played at this tournament. They've looked really sharp. Look out for Rollin. He's all over the place with rifles. He's been really good, and Mouse is going to be locking down that B-bombs on the CT side, so that's a lot of work ENCE's going to have to do to open that up.
What else would you say about Dust's son?
It's a very execution-heavy map.
Okay, fair enough. Well, the only executions going on around here are us executing DE_commercial. We're going to go into a quick break. We come back. We've got another map, one in which ENCE could see the end of the road here, and Kinguin sealing the deal. We're going to be going to a commercial break, and we come back. We've got the second and what could be the final map of the DreamHack Open Montreal 2018.